In this video, we're going to go through the edit window functions, and the edit window functions can be found up here. And our first one is tab to transients. Now, tab to transients means that when we hit tab on our keyboard, it will jump to the next transient peak. We can see our playhead is here. We press tab and it's moved to the next transient peak. If I press tab again, it will jump to the next transient, next transient, next transient. So these peaks. Now this is wonderful if you've got a track of footsteps and you want to separate out each footstep at every transient moment, and you can pull them out, move them around. But this is also really helpful if you're looking for the first beat of a bar in music, or if you're looking for the first word of something being said. So that's tab to transients. You turn that off and it will just tab to the end of each clip boundary like that. So that's tab to transients. Next we have the link, timeline and edit selection. With this off, if I make a selection here, you can see the timeline has not moved the playhead. There's the playhead still ready to go there, but my selection is here. Again, if I make this selection, I'm going to press play now. It's going to go from where the playhead is, not from where the selection is. Our F12 at the top of your keyboard. So I like to have this on so I know that wherever I click, my playhead will go. And you can press F12. Next along from that is link, track and edit selection. If I turn this off and I make a selection down here, it does not change what track I've selected. So, but if I have this on and I make a selection here, you can see this track is selected. Our F12, select this, select that. I like to keep this on as well so that I know that literally where the cursor is selected is everything. So if I've got a plugin open, I know that the plugin that I've got open will be the one for this track. So that's link, track and edit selection. The next function we've got here is insertion follows playback. This can be turned on and off using the N key on your keyboard. And this essentially means that wherever you stop is where your playhead will be if this is turned on. So I'll just play this bit. Our F12 at the top of your keyboard, hit stop, and the playhead has moved to where we stop. If I go back and turn this off with N, our F12 at the top of your keyboard, I hit stop and hit play again, it's gone back. Our F12 at the top of your keyboard, it's gone back to that original insertion point. So this can be really helpful if you're making some edits and you want to just keep going back to make sure it flows right. Otherwise, you can have this on and it will track around with you. Next, we have the automation follows edit. And let's see if I've still got my wiggly lines. We'll do some wiggly lines. There. Now, if this is off and I grab this clip and I move it over there, I'm going to reveal the volume again. You'll see that the volume has stayed exactly where it was in relation to the time, not the clip. So we'll undo that, put it back, and I'll turn this back on, and I'm going to move this clip again. And the automation has come with the clip. I like to keep this on. I don't, you've really got to keep your eye on the ball if you have this off, because you could leave any sort of automation for plugins, for mutes, for panning, for sends. You could leave that over a different point in the timeline, but not remember it's there and just have your mix turn off for a second. So just be really wary that this is definitely on unless you know what you're doing and you want the automation to stay where it is. Next along from there, we have got a similar functionality, but it's mirror MIDI editing. We don't care about MIDI in this course. I'm so sorry, but we don't. And then this is one of my favorites as well. It's layered editing. Now, I love layered editing. It saved me hours. Layered editing means that if I separate this with B and I put this here, you can see there's a little shadow outline there. And what this implies is that there is more media underneath this clip. It's layered. Now, if I delete this selected clip here. The original audio underneath it is left there. Now, if I have layered editing off and I hit delete, it deletes everything along that time duration, no matter what was underneath it. So I like to keep layered editing on. I think it's really helpful. And it means you can pull things out, you can delete. If I delete that clip, it's going to remember what was under there, and it doesn't affect that. Now, one quick thing about layered editing, and I mentioned this about recording in the recording section, is that if something is completely covered, a clip is completely covered, so we'll make this its own clip now, and we cover it, is that going to be long enough? It will add it to another playlist, just like in the recording setup. There we are. A little reminder where that is preferences, and that is when editing. Send fully overlap clips available playlist when editing. So it's another fun feature to think about when you're using layered editing.